Hey everybody, we're gonna grill some stuff again today, but we're not gonna grill it, we're gonna smoke it. So today is what I'm gonna refer to as Meat Fest 2024. And as it happens, my wife throws this thing out every year to the kids where they can pick the food they want when we get together to do our Christmas celebration. And so this year, everybody decided to pick, well, not everybody, but there's a whole lot of food that happens on this day. Some people pick like Rocky Road ice cream, right? And that's their thing. So our Christmas meal with the family, with the kids, ends up being a bit of a smorgasbord of sometimes relatively unrelated items that you wouldn't normally eat together. But thankfully, a few of them picked some items related to meat. And so my daughter wanted ribs. So we're going to do those again. This is my second time doing ribs, right? Just as a reminder, I really don't know what I'm doing. But thankfully, I've got great people like Pit Boss Jay, who happens to know and follow all these great guys and gals that smoke stuff and shares videos with me all the time. So I'm always learning. Thought I would start off and talk about like what I use from a rub or spice standpoint. The local Ace Hardware here, I think they must have, half the square footage of the store dedicated to smoking and grilling and spices and all that. So if you've got an Ace in town, it's a great place to go to look for things. Certainly you can go online. I've tried different rubs. Today, just as a summary, we're going to be doing, I have no idea how long this is going to take. It's cold here. It's like 10 degrees here in Indiana, and it's getting warmer overnight. So I may try and do the briskets overnight so that they're a little warmer and ready for tomorrow. But at any rate, I'm going to start with the ribs during the day because they go a little bit quicker. They cook hotter than the brisket. And like last time, I'm starting with a kind of a salt, pepper, paprika, garlic layer that I've put on the meat. And then I'm going to come back over it again with pork and poultry, which is an apple honey. It's got a little bit more paprika and dehydrated apple and onion and chili pepper and honey, paprika extract, etc. This was really good last time, first time I did ribs, so I'm going to go back over this a second time and put a coating after I put my first layer on. I will say I got this Island Dust by Lane's, and I tried this on. It's not really rated for brisket, but it's got like the what it goes for, and then on the back it says, oh, it's also good for brisket. So I gave it a try last time. We thought it was really, really pepper heavy. It's supposed to be slightly sweet, but ended up being just really pepper heavy. And so I didn't enjoy it on the brisket. Obviously, the brisket was fine. Just wasn't my favorite. And so I'm trying the rest of this as my first layer, right? Because it's pepper, it's garlic, it's Hawaiian sea salt. It's got some granulated onion, a little bit of cayenne, coriander, I like all the stuff in here. Granulated honey. So it's a little sweet to it. Might be great. I'll also talk about my pellets outside on the smoker today. I'm using a mesquite, giving that a try since I'm doing a lot of sweeter today. So we'll see if that changes the flavor overall. But so Island Dust was my first layer, and then pork and poultry. Later today when I do the brisket, my standard on brisket, I really like the Lane's brisket. It's just a great seasoning. But I'm also going to do some of my brisket because I have two immensely large briskets that I'm going to trim up a little bit and come up with a couple smaller pieces. I'm going to do one of these in this Traeger beef rub, which is a molasses and chili pepper. It's got just a little bit of heat to it with some sweet. I'm anxious to see, this is like specific, and I'm anxious to see how this turns out on the brisket. So we're going to attack that later, but I thought I would just do a quick overview. Last time I did ribs, I used the Traeger's Fin and Feather as my first layer, and then the pork and poultry as my second layer. So a little bit spicier, a little bit sweeter, and that's what we're looking for in these ribs. So I've got the first layer on. I'm going to go ahead and put the second layer on, and then we're going to get them out there and get cooking. All right, these are good to go. We're gonna get them going. Grill is up to 225, 275. I got the thing open now and it's cold, so it'll take a minute to catch back up. Just gonna monitor the temp in the smoker today. I'm not gonna put a probe in at this point. We'll come back to that maybe. Show you. I don't usually use a non-branded pellet, but I saw these at Lowe's. I thought I'd give them a try. It's a mesquite blend, mesquite and oak. They looked a little darker than the Traeger pellet, so let's see. We're gonna see what it does to the flavor. See if we like it. Got the hopper completely full. It's gonna have to work a little harder today since it's cold to get us and keep us at temperature. So we're gonna go ahead and let the smoker do its thing, and we'll check back. All right, so middle of the day. Gosh, it's been about 4 hours. I actually messed up on my temperature. I had this at 225 instead of 275. It cooked for 2 hours and they weren't getting anywhere. I realized that I was only like 130, 150 internal. So now I'm gonna check them again. We're trying to get to 200 since I messed up the time and a little bit slow. Yeah, we're right under 200 on these right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these and go for the second phase. Yeah, these are all at like 199. So we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna prep them. This is where we add a stick of butter. We flip them over. We put the rib meat down instead of the bone, fat side down. A little bit of vinegar and honey. Rewrap them. I'm gonna double foil wrap them. I'm gonna stick them back in. We're gonna go for another 2 hours. And then we're gonna pull them. While I'm doing this, as you remember today, I've got all this meat going on. So I've got like four brisket, large briskets with some burnt ends already kind of prepped. And we're gonna get that prepped, finished, and ready to go on once these come off here in a couple hours. So here we go.
So I did notice that the meat is really starting to just fall off the bone. So maybe the extended time won't dry them out too bad. I did look at the bottom of them; they were getting a little crispy on the bone side of the ribs. So we'll see what it looks like. I think putting this special sauce on there with the butter, with the honey, and then wrapping it up, it's just going to allow it to bake in its juices for the next couple hours. We've got to get these up to edible temp, and then I'm going to check them. We're going to rewarm them tomorrow, so I'm just going to leave them wrapped for the most part. Rewarm them tomorrow. There's just no way I could get all this cooked in one morning before we have our lunch. So here we go. I'm going to double check the pellets in the hopper, and we're going to keep cooking. Okay, we're back. I just pulled the ribs from the smoker, and they're going to rest now for a couple hours, and then I'm going to actually fridge them and rewarm them tomorrow for us to eat. Can't wait to dig into those. They look great. They're like falling off the bone. I mentioned that I had prepped the brisket, so I have two full-size briskets. One of these was a 20. I didn't even look at the weight, actually. I only looked at the price. So one was an 80, one was a 60 at Costco. I had a couple of the corners and my shavings and my trimmings that I pulled. I'm gonna cook these a little bit separately. Probably gonna put these in a pan to cook them in a half sheet pan or quarter sheet pan, and they're gonna cook faster because they're smaller. And then I'll end up turning this into my burnt ends, doing a little bit, maybe a little honey and some extra seasoning on that. Get those a little extra crispy, some burnt ends. But for the meat, I've done two seasonings. As I shared, the Lane's brisket rub is on this large piece of brisket here, as well as this smaller section here. And then I went through with my Traeger's beef rub that has like a molasses and chili pepper, so it's slightly sweet. You can just see the color is just, this meat's been sweating for a few hours now, sitting in a cooler. It's excited. It can't wait to jump on the smoker. So we're going to go take it out, get it going, get it all probed up. I'm going to run this today a little cooler. I'm going to run a slower smoke. I'm going to run this for, I think, 12, maybe 14 hours at 190 to get my internal temperature. So I'm going to be up in the middle of the night here to check this, and then wrap it and stick it back on, get to full temp, and then pull it and let it rest for a good 4 hours before we start eating, hopefully tomorrow around 11. So that's the plan. I'm going to get this going, and we'll check in here in just a bit. Okay, here it is. Two full-size briskets, trimmed off a bunch of the fat. I did leave, there was a nice thin layer of fat on this really good square-looking piece that's going to turn out really well, hopefully nice and uniform and even. So I left that on, but I trimmed a lot of the rest off. Some of it I trimmed off. I was able to get, the odd shapes, get the triangle off the end of it, get it all to kind of a good shape. So these are the two with that sweet chili, right? So a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet. These are the two, the standard that I use, that brisket rub. And then these are the pieces that are going to hopefully cook a little quicker. They'll be a little crispier, have a tougher bark. We'll make those our burnt ends, but got the grill turned down, 180, 190. I'm gonna go ahead and close it up. We're gonna start the timer. We think somewhere around 12 hours. So we'll see you in the middle of the night. Hey guys, here we are. The ribs have sat resting in the cooler. I've had them double wrapped in foil after the last segment. They were on the smoker, and so they've been sitting for about I'm gonna say 2.5 hours resting. And I just grabbed them and I unwrapped them, and the first one I just started to cut a piece, and literally the meat is falling off the bones. I know some people really like this, it's just falling right off the bone. So really tender, great color. Hope checked them out. She said the flavor was good. I've said it's pretty good. Since I got to reheat them tomorrow, I saved the wet sauce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them apart. I'm going to put them in this quarter sheet pan. I'm going to put them in the fridge overnight, coat them in some wet sauce, and then when I warm them, which I'll probably stick them back on the smoker tomorrow to warm them for a little bit before we eat them. So I'm going to take all 3 racks here, put them in the quarter, so get them all wet with some sauce, and then tomorrow we're going to enjoy them. But I would say success on the second time. It's been a little bit of chaos today since there's so much meat on and off the smoker, and keeping all that going. And I decided to do another project in the middle of this too, because why not? But anyways, if you're around, stop on by. But by the time you see this, probably they're already gone. All right, so it's been a long night. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. We put the brisket on at 3:30 yesterday. The website that I was following, which I'll share the link on, a slow smoke, suggested a 190 for 12 hours until you get to your internal of 160, then wrap it, put it back on for another couple hours, turn it up until you get to your final internal of like 200, 203, which is always my goal. So I had 4 different pieces. They were all different thicknesses, and I had to phone a friend yesterday to figure out, do I look for average temperature across the all 4 briskets, right? Including I had some burnt ends in a pan too, or what should I do? And so, obviously I called Pit Boss Jay. He said, listen, I would pull them when they get to internal temp correct. So 160, pull it, wrap it, stick it back on, and then watch it from there. So the one that I'm pulling off here has been resting for about 3 hours. So about, let's see, 3:30 was when I pulled one. So I've got a smaller one here that I'm gonna cut up a little bit. It's been resting for about 5 hours. This one's been resting for almost 3 hours. And I think I have 2 different seasoning types on these 2. So I'm just gonna pull this guy right here. It is really tender, I can tell you that. When I put it back in, I did put some broth with it. So it's, it's moist. It's still pretty warm. I'm gonna slice it, and then I'm gonna put it in a quarter sheet and cover it and let it continue to rest, because we're gonna eat here in just a couple hours. So, man, this is like super fall apart. I'm trying to figure out where my grain is so I can cut it correctly. But I'm pretty excited about, yeah, it's totally just fall apart. This is the kind of brisket I've been trying to get to. My brisket's always been a little bit tough, not super tender, and I've been trying to get that, like, go to the store and buy it and sit down and eat it, and it literally just falls apart. I think you can see that. Incredible. So great texture, really excited about this. I'm gonna continue to slice this. Man, that is like real good. One of my favorites. A lot of work, right? So we've been going at it for, long time. Like 17 hours so far. All right, I'm gonna continue to slice this and pan it and cover it. And we'll take some pictures and share those as well of the final. But this is looking real good. Real excited to eat this for sure. Can you stop it for me? All right, so I pulled one more piece that's been resting for a couple hours now. This is the one that I use, this Traeger beef, which is the molasses chili pepper, so a little sweet heat. I'm really anxious to try this one. So this one is not, it's not completely falling apart like the other one did, but I mean, left a lot of fat on this guy too. So let me find the grain here. Yeah, this one's a little more firm, but yet still really tender. Like, it's good. All right, I'm gonna slice this and put this in another pan, and we'll get this ready to eat.